War Eagle Auburn family, welcome back to another live recording of the Auburn Experience podcast with myself, Kyle Loomis, and my co-host, Mr. Austin Scott. And I just realized that my cat's locked in here with me. That's awkward. So literally, for those of you that love watching the live recording of this, you're going to see me actually open the door and let the cat out because now she's actually wandering around. So I'll do that in just a minute. But like, that was the weirdest thing. I did that, and then there's the cat. That's the beauty of doing the live recording. You get the stuff that nobody else get. What's up, Austin?
What's up? Happy 2023, everybody. War Eagle, and glad to be here and in a new year. It's been, I guess, we did one. Did we do one before Christmas?
We did one right before Christmas. Like literally, I think it was the Sunday before Christmas. Well, Christmas was on a Sunday, so a week before that.
Okay, so it's been about 3 weeks. Yeah, so
it's been a minute. It has been a minute, and I'm ready to talk some Auburn Experience stuff with you because obviously we always talk about the sports stuff here, but it's nice to kind of take a overarching look. So here I'm gonna have you give us a little quick update of Austin. We're not doing the show yet for those of you that might be new. In about 4 minutes here, we'll start the live recording so you guys can say whatever you'd like during this time. Say hello, all that kind of stuff. You tell us really quick, Austin, what's been going on in your life so I can let this cat out real quick.
Yeah, no problem. And for those of you watching, that is my brother right there on the featured quote there. Podcast escape.
Podcast going.
We're good. Not much has been going on, much different around here. Twins are still growing big ahead of schedule, and we've been working on the nursery here and looking forward to them getting here. It should be pretty soon here. They're growing big, and we got to see one of them recently on a like the 3D facial thing kind of, which is just incredible to be able to view. We only got to see one of them because the one we saw was sitting directly on the other's face. So we did not get to see him.
No, that's siblings for you, right?
And I mean, they've been kicking each other and all sorts of stuff. So, yeah. The biggest thing is that I'm continually amazed by women and moms because my wife is a superhero and she's uncomfortable all the time and sick a lot, but she's just trudging through. And so,
what did you do? Why are you saying this? What did you do?
Oh, absolutely. I did nothing, and I can't do anything to help this pregnancy. So I'm just along for the ride. But
I got you.
It's been a whirlwind, and it was a great holiday, though.
Well said, sir. Well said. So as you guys start coming to the stream, you know the drill. Make sure that you post where you're watching from, city, state, international. Smash that like button as you come in. Typical stuff that we do when we're live here. For those of you that are new, we just love to kind of talk about anything and everything Auburn here and just our own personal lives, as Austin just gave you his own life update. My life update, very busy, traveled literally around the Southeast, all the way over to Houston, Texas, throughout Alabama, seeing family. We had a wedding in Texas and drove past LSU. I think we might talk about that on a different episode. We'll see. There's going to be days, where there's not as big of things to talk about. We might have to draw on. So I might discuss some of those things that I experience. That's what this is all about on different shows. But we got plenty to discuss right now. Since we're discussing pregnancy.
Weird cravings. No, just kind of for a while there, it had to have Chick-fil-A hash browns every morning. I think just the salty blandness kind of was equaling out some sickness, but no, just nothing weird. Just when randomly you might want some Mexican or randomly might want wings. We were on a wings kick there for a little while.
Interesting.
So nothing like out of the ordinary yet. Like nothing like she's not a seafood person and she hasn't just all of a sudden become enamored with seafood, which I was kind of hoping for. But yeah, nothing too weird yet.
Okay. Now, Devin, I was in Texas, but literally we came screeching in on one wheel to make it to a rehearsal dinner. Got up the next day and spent all day taking care of I don't know how to describe them, our cousins' kids, but basically they're our nieces and excuse me, we don't have any nieces. Our nephews, and then came straight back. So I had no time to see you whatsoever, Devin. It's not like we didn't tour Auburn together either. So we'll find some time to hang out again soon. So it is 5 minutes into the recording or the non-recording. Now we're going to move into our recording portion. As a reminder for those of you that may be new, during the recording, chances are we probably won't interact with the chat a lot. You guys hang out with each other, chat along with each other, but make sure you stay after. We will come out of the recording and then take some more comments and questions and talk to you guys, just kind of like it was a mini Wednesday night show. I'm putting that reminder up right now for you guys. And if you guys who are veterans, will help anybody else that's having trouble understanding how this works, manage that situation. We got a good show on tap for you. Going to talk a little Auburn basketball, the crazy weekend that Auburn had, and some Auburn Christmas stuff. That's what's on tap, and anything else that we go on a tangent about. So, Austin, if you're ready, we'll get this thing rolling.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right, here we go in 3, 2, 1. David Housel said it best: the whole of the Auburn experience. It includes a wide variety of people, places, and things, but at its heart, at its core, it is all about sports. It is all about our culture, and it is all about our family. And since it's about the Auburn family, I've got to bring in an Auburn family member to discuss with me, and that person always is Mr. Austin Scott, joining me once again on the Auburn Experience podcast, episode 18. Sir, welcome back in.
Hey, Kyle, War Eagle. Glad to be back. We have made it to not really a second year of podcasting or these episodes, but we've made it to a second year. And that's still amazing to me that we've kept this thing going and that people enjoy it. And so I'm excited about it. I'm happy 2023 to you. If you're listening to this live, it is 2023, and it's been an awesome start to the year so far for Auburn in a whole lot of areas, and I'm looking forward to diving into it with you.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about, and that's the problem when you take a break. Everything happens. And you would think, just it being Christmas and everything that comes with that would be enough. But boy, did Auburn sports especially have a crazy couple of weeks here, but even weekend. It's I was itching to get back on here with you, Austin, and just talk about some of these things that have occurred, rumors, and all that kind of stuff that we throw into everything that we call the Auburn experience. So normally we open up the show with just kind of what's hot, but I've called it, and I even texted you and said this week we're going to call this Auburn Potpourri, because literally it's you just choose what you want to talk about. Like even from just this weekend, I put out a tweet on my personal account and just said, I think it was, and I actually went to the swim meet for a very brief time, but I went to the swim meet here in Atlanta. Swimming, gymnastics, recruiting, revenge, just, in basketball, all kinds of things. If you wanted something Auburn this weekend, you got it. And, it can include anything from the break. So take your pick, sir, for this first segment. What do you want to discuss first, or just kind of hit on real quick?
Yeah. And I mean, to follow up on what you're saying, that while the spring semester doesn't have football games, that's kind of what you get the entire spring semester. It's crossover season, and it's just bang, bang, bang. Anything on a whole diversified level of Auburn you're going to get it all the way almost up until graduation. So that's the exciting part of it. This weekend was a great start to it, no doubt. My wife and I were watching the Auburn basketball game on TV, and she found
while you're eating
network.
Chick-fil-A hash browns, which are apparently good, bland at the same time as good.
That's a pregnancy tip for all our pregnant listeners out there. But
only on this show.
Only on this show. Had the Auburn basketball game up in front of us on TV, and my wife had the gymnastics Super 16, I think they called it.
Yep.
Tournament out in Las Vegas with that Auburn gymnastics was involved in. And so it was awesome. It was good to see the gymnastics team back out and some new faces kind of finding their footing on where they're going to fall in the rotation against some stiff competition. Had some slip ups and had some steps out of bounds and some rust to kick off. But I mean, Suni Lee already went in the all around again, already having a 10 again. She's picking up where she left off, and she's looking to go into her second season and the last of her Auburn career with a bang. So really excited gymnastics is back. My wife and I are just big gymnastics fans. I don't know if I ever would have said that. And you can say it's, Suni Lee came to town or not, but that might have gotten us what's in the door regularly. But it's just so much fun to follow and be around. It's fast paced, and just exhilarating. And so we loved having gymnastics season back. Next week, I think Auburn goes to Gainesville for a big meet, and then they're at home for the first time against Arkansas the Friday after that. So we're really looking forward to that. And that was kind of, I know, I mean, the basketball game was fun, and I'm sure we'll
Right.
touch on it, but that kind of being back in gymnastics getting started was a fun touch to our weekend.
Yeah, we're going to talk about basketball in more of a holistic view here shortly, but just on the gymnastics front, first of all, this was the first time this has ever been done. The Super 16 at the
Hmm.
beginning, the inaugural event that I guess when you say inaugural, that means that you're going to try to do it every single
Right.
year. Folks, in the inaugural event, Auburn Gymnastics was included in that. Now, listen, that's not like acting like we were irrelevant in the gymnastics space, but for the longest time, even before SUNY Lee, and we kind of started making ourselves relevant before SUNY Lee got here, Auburn was just kind of like mid,
Yeah.
and not from lack of trying and lack of effort, but it was a very like I don't know what the word or phrase to use is here, but it was hard to break into the elite of gymnastics because you had your
Right.
Alabamas, your LSU's, Floridas, you had your Oklahomas. I think Utah's been in there too, and
Hmm.
UCLA's, all of those big names with gymnastics, and then Auburn burst onto the scene and is making waves. Darian Goborn was one of our
Yeah.
most recent individual titles before SUNY Lee did that. So having SUNY here has been obviously helpful, but Auburn's been doing that since before she got here. She's just only amplified the attention that gets on her. I mean, they used her headlining the event. That was incredible. So,
Right.
like, that unfortunately got kind of lost this weekend a lot because we're going to talk more about gymnastics this season, but just keeping to the potpourri theme with basketball, which we'll talk about, but recruiting as well. I mean,
Yeah. Crazy weekend.
football recruiting was nuts this week. And I thought, here was Kyle thinking, oh man, first January weekend, I'm not going to the game. I got nothing on my plate. I can, do creative things here for E2C Network. Nope. Auburn, Coach Freeze, dang it, Trevon Reed, we weren't done yet, and he wouldn't let me have a dang moment to breathe the entire weekend. I mean, literally every single for like 24 hours, it was like almost like every couple of hours, ding, here comes somebody else. Here come the eyes on the Twitter sphere. I mean, I could not catch my breath. And I'm happy about that. You don't hear me that I'm
Absolutely.
complaining,
Yeah.
folks. But I mean, what did you think about all those recruits coming in for football transfer or otherwise?
Yeah. And that's the thing I was going to mention is with the portal, a lot of attention gets put on it because it's new, it's crazy, it's kind of. But I mean, there was a whole mix of portal guys, high school guys for Auburn committing over the last 72 hours. That is huge news and fantastic. And so it was big. You think about school starts this week for Auburn University in the second semester, starts a lot of places over the next 2 weeks. And so there is, if you want to be in spring practice, well, you are a student athlete, you have to be enrolled in school. School starts this week. And so, it's natural to think, all right, well, this is a lot of times for guys to be making their decisions, which is crazy to me that guys are making their decisions on where they're going to be in college days from before they need to be on campus and
Can
in
I
class.
break the news to you? There are seventh graders committing at this point. That's how
Yeah.
bad it's gotten.
Yeah. That as someone who works at a school and sees a lot of seventh graders, I'm just no, no.
Since when has a seventh grader made a life choice that was going to last, but also be a good decision at that point? I mean,
Yeah.
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, just absurd. But lots of good pickups for Auburn. They're still working the portal. They're still working the high school ranks and trying to finish strong and with talent. And that so far they've done it, and it's admirable to me. Props to Coach Freeze and the staff that they've kind of put together. Since he's been hired, just in the last couple months, on who they've been able to get on campus and the holes they've been able to fill. No quarterback yet from the portal, and I think that's kind of what everybody's looking to see next. Is that going to happen? Are they going to ride it out? We talk about the portal and we think of waves of guys kind of right after the end of the regular season, and we saw a bunch. And then as bowls would end, we saw a bunch. And the national championship will be over tomorrow night. I think you'll see a few there. And then after that, it's kind of like a waiting game. And then it's after spring practice, guys get to see where they're at, or maybe, they're not meshing with a new coaching staff, so they want to go somewhere else. So it's definitely not over. no time to hit the panic button. That'll fall on deaf ears with Auburn Twitter, I'm sure. But there's still plenty out there, and it's kind of made it a year round thing, Kyle. Right? Like we get to follow recruiting year round. There is no more right up until the winter months and right before signing day in February. It is all the time.
Man, okay, you're gonna make me be an old crotchety man, and you sent me a tweet or a text about that recently too.
Yes.
Listen, I enjoyed the heck out of early February, looking forward to that because it was like the one thing that, or one of the few things that got me in the wait period to football better. So you like, championship game happens in January. You got to wait about a month, and then there's signing day. Then you basically wait for March to get done before April, the spring game comes, and then you've got that long period from May to June to July. Like there were all these stepping stones that helped me get to that point, and now we have to smash what basically is early signing day, but is essentially the national signing day now with everything else. Like it's just that's what grinds my gears, sir. And I'm gonna leave it at that. But I'm just thankful that we are obviously making big waves. And I just at the same token, last crotchety old man, like just give me a break, Auburn, just for one day, like 24 hours, less than one commit. At the same time, there's people screaming at me for how dare you even be mad at that. But
I think you're gonna be busy for a couple more days, Kyle.
Oh,
But
God,
you'll get a break. You'll get a break here
don't
soon.
do this to me.
Once we get school rolling, you'll be fine.
I thought we was done yet. Cue Javon
Oh,
Reed.
that's right. You just gotta read the book I sent you a picture of, and you'll be okay.
Okay. All right. Well, let's talk about some basketball. Let's talk about this basketball team that has given us highs and lows since we were last together on the podcast, about a 2.5 week break that we had there, give or take a few days. So a lot has happened. Now, I should have looked this up before we started. Did we cover the West Coast trip, like in reviewing it before we left for our last episode? Do you remember?
We did. We discussed who might each of us want to see on another West Coast trip if we got to pick. So yeah, we did talk about it.
So we saw the struggles against obviously Memphis before that. That was the first loss at the Galen Center, and then the rebound and response at Washington. So that's kind of what we left it at. And then since that time, SEC conference play started. Florida game, which was it was a scary game, which I wasn't surprised by, to be honest with you, even in Auburn Arena. But also had great storylines with that. You had the Georgia game.
Neville Arena.
Did I say Auburn Arena?
You did. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We
got to stop the show right now. Like I have gotten on to people for that. And I cannot believe I did that. I am so sorry to the Nevilles. I'm so sorry to the Nev.
It's Neville Cryptocurrency Arena is what it will one day be.
Neville Cryptocurrency Arena. That's just, I cannot believe I did that. All right. So now that I've got to reconcile with that, we had the game with Georgia. More on that, I'm sure, in a second. And then obviously the great response by Auburn against an Arkansas team. So I've kind of set the table for you in us trying to piece together where this program is at based on what has happened since last we talked to currently now. What do you make of it, Austin?
Yeah, SEC play, right? A good start in an exhilarating game. Tough game against Florida. I think we all knew it was going to be tough. New coach for the Gators, but they've played Auburn tough every time. Every time since Bruce has got here, it's been no surprise. Now they've got a Bruce disciple as their head coach, Todd Golden. Really great scene and emotional game for each of them. Who Todd talks about Bruce like a father, talks about Stephen Pearl as a brother. Just cool to see them kind of reunite. But Todd Golden's group gave Auburn everything they had and almost came out of there with a win. Thankfully, Auburn tied it up there at the end and then was able to break it open or get a late layup by Wendell Green to kind of put it away. So that was exciting, but still just a lack of offense that's hurt Auburn, and it eventually translated into the road game at Georgia. Just can't find a consistent offensive threat from really anybody. And so that hurt Auburn a lot. We talk about how Florida's played Auburn hard since Bruce got here. Well, their coach was Mike White. He's now at Georgia. And that was no surprise either. They played Auburn really tough, and they played a great game and beat Auburn soundly. So all that said, it was really important to see Auburn kind of rebound against a really tough Arkansas team. We all remember the game last year. It was talked about at length on the broadcast. That's kind of become a budding rivalry. The Musselman versus Pearl
Now,
story.
was that their Super Bowl? From what I'm told, that was their
Last
Super Bowl.
year, yeah. Oh, well, apparently it was Auburn's Super Bowl this
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
Is,
I
is
just wanted to
everything
be
I keep seeing.
clear for the Arkansas fans when the Super Bowl actually was for.
Well, yeah, and when you win a big game, you usually tend to see what it mattered to a team if they stormed the court. Auburn didn't storm the court when they beat Arkansas yesterday,
You tell
but
me, Wig
Arkansas.
Pooksooies.
Anyway, I don't know. All I know is my house smelled like some good old fried bacon last
Just
night.
sizzling, crackling bacon. So
But
good.
just a good response by Auburn inside Neville Arena. That people were wondering, why is Auburn favored going in this game after what we just saw at Georgia? Well, Neville Arena provides that, and the students were back. School starts this week. Students were back in full force. The place was just packed. So awesome showing by Auburn. Hopefully that's something to build on. I think that's what they're going to have to be this year, is with no offensive threat or established really. It's going to have to, I've seen it described as a rock fight. It's going to have to be gritty defense, play hard, get your turnovers, and make them foul you, and get to the bucket, and try and stay in it to the very end. And that's what they were able to do with Arkansas. Hit shots from outside. That was encouraging to see, because that's been a struggle. But um, that's the roller coaster of Auburn
Mhm.
basketball, is up and down, and so we'll see where they go from here. Hopefully, they just keep on going up.
In trying to help other Auburn fans figure out what to make of this team, because you've watched them, first of all, take losses that were respectable, but then take
Hmm.
one by a Georgia team that really isn't respectable most cases. But when you look at the Georgia team, the way they played and the way they've started the year, I haven't really looked in depth at their non-conference play, so I'm not going to sit here and say that they are better than expected. But when I watched them play, they actually look like a competent team. It's
Yeah,
Mike White, maybe underperformed a little bit at Florida, but he seems like he's got Bruce Pearl's number. So, kind of taking that, do you think that the struggles that Auburn has seen, or the up and down, I should say, of SEC play in 3 games, is more so about Auburn having its own struggles, or the SEC just being that competitive this year? And I know it's early to make
sure.
that, but just that's what this discussion is about, is trying to assess where this basketball team is at this early in SEC play.
Sure. I don't want to take the cop out and say both. I think that is part of it, but I'm going to say that this was a tough start to the SEC schedule for Auburn, and so I think when you look at that Florida game, that's a new coach, right? You look at the Georgia game, that's a new coach. Arkansas, they've kind of moved themselves into the upper echelon of the SEC in the last couple of years. I think that the fact that they were able to compete, but each one has been relatively close, just shows the top to bottom in the SEC has shrunk a lot.
Mm.
And it's a much more even playing field than it was, 5-10 years ago. Um, and so I think that's a huge part of it. I think we're going to have to see our teams that are going to be at the bottom. Vanderbilt's going to be at the bottom of the SEC. There's going to be teams that aren't as, or with new coaches that aren't as accustomed to the SEC, that are trying to figure it out. Mississippi State's one of those with a new coach who's kind of learning the footprint of the conference. I think that those teams and how Auburn performs against those teams are going to tell us a little bit more about where they are, as opposed to just the SEC as a whole. Um, but it's hard not to deny that there are struggles offensively for Auburn. There is no one they can go to at this point right now that you can just guarantee is going to give you the offensive output you want. Wendell Green has his moments, and when he's good, Auburn is very good.
Yep.
When he's struggling, Auburn struggles, and so that's the way of life being a point guard and of an elite team, and so that's what we're going to need out of him. I do think, and this is a tribute, or not a tribute, how should I say, a compliment to the jungle. Auburn's played 3 SEC games and they've won 2 of them, and both of them have been inside Neville Arena. And that is something that, when we look at, is Auburn going to be up and down, that's a consistent that we can be sure of, is the home court advantage they have in Neville Arena, with the jungle by their side, and with people packing out that games. I don't care how many seats are in that arena. When it's that intimate of an atmosphere, and the jungle is the way it is, Auburn can be in any game. It does not matter. I know how good Alabama looks. I know how good Tennessee usually plays Auburn. in Neville Arena, I'm hard pressed not to take the Tigers.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. There's a 27 home game win streak for a reason,
Absolutely.
inside and outside of conference and non-conference play. It is a dominant presence. It's the reason you hear commentators night in and night out talking about it. So really, that's what's going to happen and what you should expect. Trying to, answer the question what to make of this team at this point. Probably going to be very successful at home. Not saying we're going to win every game.
Right.
But one of your toughest tests, you just passed with flying colors.
Yes.
I mean flying colors, defensively and offensively. When you take the whole season so far into perspective, that was a pretty good offensive game for us the last go around.
Absolutely.
Even only, what was it, 72-59? I think the final
I
score was.
So.
Which is a pretty average basketball score, to be honest with you. When both teams are just one team didn't get above 60. I think if both teams get above 60, that's a pretty average basketball game. If you see both teams getting up above 70 and maybe one pushing in the mid 80s, that's kind of like, all right, we're scoring some more. And then obviously you had those rare 90 and 100-point game scores. So this team offensively, let me just make this clear for Auburn fans, it will be up and down the entire season. But what we have seen is how good this Auburn team can be, even with the struggles and inconsistency offensively, if I could talk. My goodness. But what happens when Katie Johnson finds his shot? Right. What happens or continues to happen if Alan Flanagan continues his momentum that he's built? What happens if Trey Donaldson continues his progression? What happens if Yawan Traore figures himself out?
Just even a little bit.
Just
a little bit.
Like, what the possibilities right here are endless. And that's not me trying to set you all up for failure and say, hey, we're going to the Final Four. But what I'm telling you is this: all of you that were getting very frustrated, and I know some of you do it on social media just so you can get a reaction because you want to be social media famous. But those of you that were like, oh, let's fire, there was some of that, believe it or not, or Bruce doesn't know what he's doing. I'm like, guys, chill out. This isn't a football season. One loss doesn't just 2 losses, 3 losses, 4 losses, 5 losses do not destroy your season. It can alter your seeding. This is a team that I think is very well poised to have a lot of success this year. We'll just have to wait and see. And obviously we'll be updating you guys about it along the way. Let's move on from some sports stuff, even though we'll probably find a way to bring it back into it in our final discussion here. Let's talk about Auburn Christmas gifts. It's our post-Christmas show, post-holiday show. And I know this for the audio people. If you are not watching this live, you're not going to be able to get the full experience here because I'm actually going to do a little bit of show and tell, but I will describe. Right. Austin will describe what he got for Christmas. But that's what we figured we'd have some fun with, just talking about how all that went and anything that we got or experienced. So I'm going to do like the boring, because I actually asked for these and I really wanted these. So I'm trying to stay on screen while I'm doing this. So as a professed person of Auburn fandom that preaches that you need to value and love all things Auburn and Auburn sports, I made it my mission to this year to make it a point that I'm going to find shirts for as many, if not all, of the programs other than obviously football, obviously basketball, and I even have a baseball shirt too. I actually do have a closet full of shirts over there that y'all don't want to see me wear anymore. I wore some of them on previous live streams, and I was like, no, that was too much, Kyle. That was pretty awful, and I can't believe that I even wore some of those back then. But let me give you one to start off with.
Let's see it.
Let's see if this is so. You can find these in the bookstore. I actually asked for the ones from the area bookstore.
There's a plug.
Since we talked about gymnastics,
all right.
There you go. It's just the standard. It's a gray T-shirt for those of you on audio with Auburn Gymnastics and the logo below it, and you can find one just like this for most of the programs, if not all of them. But so that is going to be my gymnastics shirt that I'll wear.
Classic. I like it.
I have tickets for one meet, but we'll see if I get into any others. But I'll be wearing it there. Softball, already got one for that.
Same look. I like
same
it.
Look for all of that, and that's all I've got right now. But I think there are ones for equestrian. I think I've seen one for. I feel like there was a volleyball one, but those were the two that we're going to be probably attending other than basketball the most recently or in the near future. So I wanted to have something to wear out there. So I would recommend you guys go to the bookstore if you haven't
Yeah.
and get those. If they still have any left, they're good quality t-shirts. So those were a gift from my mother that I got, and she did a good job there. So what you got before I show my
Fine
other things?
selection. All right. Well, here's one. I got my sister-in-law gave me this. I'm gonna try and describe it as well. This is a Auburn Coca-Cola. It's got a nice picture of a vintage Aubie on it, and it's from the Sugar Bowl year, the 1983 SEC championship year. And on the back, it's got the schedule
Yep.
with all the scores and this is actually, I don't think my sister-in-law knew this. I think she just got it for me because she knew I would put this somewhere and it fits perfectly in my backdrop here. But
Exactly.
this is my dad's senior year at Auburn, and so it's got a little bit of a sentimental value too. And my father-in-law asked me what I think it would taste like if I opened it, and I'm just not going to find out. But
I've always wondered that. My dad, actually, I wonder if I still have it here or not. My dad used to have one of those or similar to that, and I
mhm,
always asked him. I was like, "Why don't Dad?" When I was younger, why don't
yeah,
you open it up and take a sip out of it? And he's like, "Son, if you open and drink this thing, you'd probably be going to the hospital at this point."
absolutely. I mean, there's negative carbonation in this, and there's just no telling.
It's just
But it's
sugar fermenting in there.
exactly. There's a antique store locally in Auburn, though, Angel's Antiques. If you're in town, just so much fun place to walk around and find weird stuff. But there were so many of these in random booths before Christmas, and I was just like, man, I should get one. And I was like, not gonna get one of those. I don't need one of those. And then my sister-in-law got it for me, and I'm so glad that she did. So it goes perfectly in my backdrop here and adds a little sentimental value.
Yep. I will also plug. There's several other no, what am I thinking of? Thrift stores of like that in
Hmm.
Auburn, but Irondale Pickers up in Birmingham, I have found some great items up there. It's a humongous with like little booths and
Massive.
stuff like that.
Yep.
So if you want to go find your own personal Auburn items there, like I found an old, and my brother-in-law actually ended up buying it, a pamphlet of like the 1920s Auburn handbook thing that
Oh
he
yeah,
he
that's
had.
cool.
So like you can find that signed Auburn footballs, just other knick-knack things up there. So if you need gift ideas for the future for
Hmm.
Christmas or birthdays, whatever holidays for that. I've got one. You have another item or
Mine is, it's harder to describe to those that aren't watching, but all these newspaper frames behind me I got for Chris. I've had these newspapers and random things I wanted to put on the wall, but I got some frames for them, and so I've been setting them up on the wall all day. I've got a few national championship ones, and the bottom ones are all Iron Bowl wins. But my grandmother has been saving newspaper clippings for me for since I started at Auburn. So I've got my Kick Six one, my 2017 one, and 2019 Iron Bowl front pages behind me now, and I like those a lot. I've been working on a back. Kyle, if you watch our live stream, you know that it's been a slow progression of
it has been.
Austin's kind of studio backdrop. A lot of things have looked differently over the last 6 months. But now I feel like I'm in a good place. I feel comfortable. It's still nowhere near Kyle's, but I'm liking where we're at now these days. I
It's
still
it's
got my floating helmet, and I'm happy with
listen, if you only had that, that's
that.
enough. Like the amount of times I get lost in there, it's like, whenever I look over back there, if everybody sees me doing this,
Squirrel.
that's me looking at the spinny helmet. So yes, Kyle has been having some fun and adding little things in there. So hopefully Disney doesn't
Yeah.
get mad at us for adding that in there, but I did it anyway. So you never know, Austin, when I might throw some of those things
Yeah,
up on
that
there
kind of
on you.
scared me.
Did it scare you a little bit?
I was just like, "Oh no, what happened?"
I planned that. You don't
Yeah,
know how long I've been sitting here waiting for a moment to push one of those things. That was it. So,
that was it. Well, show
I,
us. I know you've got something else
well,
that you've been hyping up here.
okay, but let me do this probably boring thing for the fans. But this is more of an
Okay.
E2C Network Auburn related thing, and I'll be honest with you, it may end up not working for our setup here at E2C Network Central, but we're always working on our backdrops and lighting and stuff here. I got some new
Oh
things for
yeah,
light bars and stuff. I don't know. The more I think about so you guys are like, that's not even Auburn related. It's Auburn related because it's about E2C Network stuff.
exactly.
So we're gonna work on it. If it doesn't work out in this particular room that I'm in, I just get something for the back of my TV to light up my TV when
Yeah,
that's
there
on
you
watching
go.
football games. So, all right, this is the thing that I got for this Christmas that I was not anticipating. My mom is always very good about surprising me, sometimes with Auburn things. This year, she did this for myself and my brothers and their schools that they now claim, or at least I've revoked their Auburn cards. You're not getting it back, by the way, Caleb and Carson. But it was an odd item, but I kind of love it now because the big thing about this backdrop back here is it's hard to make it Christmassy. And you guys have seen, this little truck thing with the Christmas tree that you can't see in the shot that much right now. The Christmas lights that I don't have turned on, we're about to take them down. But we now have, if y'all have been watching some of the videos, Auburn Santa statue.
Wow.
I don't, I pulled it down. I was like, wow, I didn't know I was getting this, but now I love it because it's been sitting here in the back in the video. So from now on,
Check
E2C
that
Network
out.
Central, it's an Auburn Santa suit. Well, an Auburn Santa in an Auburn suit. And then he's got his little Auburn bag and
Now, did she
jingle all the way.
make this, buy this?
No, this is they make them for each school, I think, or several of the schools. Like they had a Baylor one, they had a SMU one.
My mom will love that you shouted out Baylor.
Well,
how about
get used
that?
to it. So that's my Christmas haul. I feel like there was something I'm missing, but that was my Auburn stuff. I didn't ask for a lot of Auburn stuff this year, but that's what I got.
Well, that's pretty good. That's a good haul. I feel like I'm missing something too. We got a lot of baby stuff. And my dad has given us lots of Auburn baby clothes already, non-Christmas. But I feel like I'm missing something too. But that's a good haul for both of us. And
Yep.
and it sounds like a lot of it will benefit the live show on E2C for the Auburn Experience. So if you're not watching live, you don't know what we're talking about visually.
Now listen, you audio people, we love you being there.
Of
and
course.
Because you're helping power that part of that we need to grow as well. But we'd love for you to come spend some time over here with us live. It's a different experience. That's why we provide both things for you in case you just want to, for some odd reason, I don't know why you would, but I hope you do. Go listen to it twice.
There's a floating helmet.
There's a floating helmet on here, folks. What else do you need? We talk about potpourri. We talk about basketball. We talk about Christmas Santa. What else do you need on a podcast about the Auburn Experience? So that's our show. Getting back from the Christmas holidays. It's good to be back in the saddle and hopefully getting a regular updates to you each and every week going forward. Austin, on your way out, where can they find you?
Oh, find me at Austin G. Scott. I'll be there and following along with all the various Auburn athletic events we got going in Auburn time. Good luck to our students if you're listening on the way back to school. Hope the seniors that are in their last semester just embrace every second of it. It'll go by too
listen.
quick.
We had a good inning. Now you're going to make it sad. Don't do that. Don't do
It's
that.
not sad. It's just bittersweet, sentimental.
Before he makes me cry on here. With that being said, you can find me on Twitter at Kyle Loomis 24. Yeah, I need to get out of here before I ruin the end of the show. You almost ruined it. Now I'm ruining the end of this thing. Thank you guys for tuning into the show. The Auburn Experience, episode 18 in the books. Till we talk to you again. War Eagle.
War Eagle.
All right, folks. Thanks for hanging out through the recording there. We're going to go back and look at some of y'all's comments and questions. We'd love to hear some of the things that you'd like for us to hit on a little bit more. We won't have a set time limit here, but we're going to try to get Austin out of here at a decent time since he's got to go to Betty by time. Wait, are y'all back in school now?
We are. We started back on Wednesday, I think.
So y'all I think it's like always high school starts a week before college usually does or something like that.
Yeah.
Usually how it works out there too. Dusty reminds us 40 days till baseball. Well, talking to Devin, but yes, that's a good reminder
that's right.
When you read it like that, I was just talking to Jessica, my wife, about this. For some reason, I guess we were just talking about what's coming up in the spring. And I mentioned, cold baseball games, but when you read 40 days, it seems like a long way away, but it's really not.
It's not. It's not far at all.
Yeah, it's
baseball. I tend to think of more spring. I guess probably because that's when the major leagues start. But baseball in college starts in those cold February games, so it's coming.
I think it was. I'm trying to remember the series I went to early on last season. It's not Indiana because that's who we're playing this year, and I was debating whether or not I was going to be able to go that weekend or not. It was a good team or a decent team, I think is what it. I just can't remember what it was, but I remember sitting out there and I was like, all right, this was a mistake because we were killing
Yeah.
them, you know.
There's one. My guess my freshman year, I met some of my best friends at it was we were playing. I'll never forget. We were playing Binghamton,
Yeah.
and they were in New York, and there was a some parents of a Binghamton player in front of us, and we were just got to talk to Binghamton. Binghamton was going through all the southeast, and because they can't play in New York until their field thaws, literally, and so they go on a 2-month road trip and play in all these teams, but it was freezing cold, and they were like, "This isn't cold." They were like,
It
"You don't know nothing." And I
and
was like,
it speaks to like teams like Oregon State who are very good at baseball. Now listen, the Pacific Northwest, they get cold, but they have that wind coming off of
different climate,
it's a
yeah,
different climate, so it doesn't like freeze like it would up in the cold Northeast and stuff like that in the Midwest. But they still have their moments, but it
mm,
still makes it even more amazing that a program like Oregon State has been as dominant as they have out there in
absolutely,
Pacific Northwest in that type of weather. Because we're cold down here, freezing in Plainsman Park for February games, but I can only imagine because wasn't
yeah.
the temperature like up at the Oregon State matchup for the World Series last year? Wasn't it one day like 50s or something like that?
Oh yeah, and people were in jackets. That's in June,
Yep.
that's cold.
Austin wanted your brother wanted you to drink that Coke on live on the.
Ashton, but that's okay.
Did
I'm
I say?
Austin.
I'm struggling.
Look, we've been doing it our whole life. I respond to my name, my
Sorry,
brother's name,
Ashton.
my sister's name, my dog's name. We're used to it at this point.
That's
Yeah.
tough. That is almost as bad. I'm just gonna do personal things here. So my mom and dad are Keith and Kathy.
Mhm.
I'm Kyle. Caleb, Carson. The two dogs were Corey and Kelsey. All
Oh
case.
wow. Yeah.
All case. I
We didn't do A's with our dog, but that's rough. Now, well, I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say
I think I know where you were going.
Yeah,
That's a good self-edit right there, sir. That is
it
a
sure is.
good self-edit. Dusty said, "What a weekend for Auburn. Huge basketball win. Football roster getting talent infusion." Ooh, that's a nice way to describe
Nice
it.
word.
Talent and depth infusion. Like to
Yep,
me, the fact that all of the areas of concern that we knew we had, and then even Coach Freeze said at his initial early signing day conference said, "Yeah, we filled all these needs, but we got to get some more offensive linemen.
that's right.
We got to fill the middle of the defensive line. We got to get some linebackers." And he's done. I don't. Are we done yet? I don't know. But we definitely filled all those needs. So the one thing that I don't want Auburn fans to do is get in their heads and make themselves believe that we're going to go win a national championship next year. That's it's not going to happen, folks. It's just not. But what we can be is a competitive team earlier than we thought we could be, considering the lows we got to at this point, even with Coach Cadillac bringing us up back to where we were. So it's exciting times right now. WT, Coach Freeze and his staff have been doing work. Love seeing all the new commits and transfers. Any news if we pick up a quarterback? Not saying we need one. Thoughts, Austin?
Yeah, I hit on it in the podcast, WT. You can go back and listen to it a little bit. I don't think we're gonna get one in this wave. That's kind of where I was going with it. The podcast, you see these waves of when the portal kind of ramps up and when it dies down. Now that school's about to start, it's kind of going to mellow out again here. I think they're probably going to look after spring. I know a lot of people were looking at. We talked about Grayson McCall, and he ended up going back to Coastal Carolina. We talked about
Is that
Devin
official now that
Leary.
he's going back? Okay.
He withdrew, and Devin Leary went to Kentucky. I can't think of somebody else. There was one other guy. Oh,
Spence Saunders. What's his name?
Spencer Sanders. I don't get the vibe that he and Auburn are going to work things out to where he's going to come. And you want the right guy, and I think Coach Freeze has a lot of sees a lot in Robbie Ashford too. But competition is never bad, and so I think we're gonna see maybe something happen, if not before the January deadline, toward the end of the spring, for some competition sakes. And I've never really bought into the well, that's too late after spring for them to learn the playbook or learn an offense. Is it a little more difficult? Sure, but these guys are up here doing two-a-days every summer, all summer long, learning this offense and getting in rhythm with receivers. So just we'll trust the coaching staff to do what they need to do.
So, let me just throw something out here, and this is probably ignorant. This is, you guys know who've been here on the channel a long time. I get involved, obviously, with recruiting, but not the pre-recruiting. Like when we have a commit, when we have a signee transfer, that's when I get involved. So I don't. I try to just know enough to prepare for some of those things, but not to be, because I can't be in that world anymore. Like, that was an unhealthy time for Kyle and his obsession with recruiting and stuff like that. Do you think it's a possibility that Calzada comes out of the transfer portal?
I don't.
You don't?
No, I think that was kind of a mutual. Let's just figure out what's best for each other.
Okay, because he hasn't accepted anywhere yet, right?
Not that I'm aware of.
And I just, with his injury, being re-injured, I just don't know what his success will be.
Yeah,
one way or the other. So I just, it was an interesting thought that I had at one point. I was kind of like, well, Devin got a water bottle, or hasn't got me a really nice Auburn water bottle. I've got like thousands of like water bottles and things. I was thinking about this recently. I need to get rid of some of these things. I'm going to do some more giveaways and things like that once we get done with this one.
You got a lot of cups out there, Kyle.
Cups. Let's see. Oh, show and tell again. There's your championship cup.
There you go. There's a good one.
Is that from the 2000?
That's from 10, right?
Wow. I just threw that out. But no, it wouldn't be
11, right?
Yeah, it'd be from 11 right there.
I get cups in here.
I guess I could give that one away. Oh no, wait, that's a different one. That one's from recent. I kind of like that one.
Yeah, that's more recent. I've been given one cabinet in our kitchen from the minute we moved into this house. I've been given one very skinny cabinet, and that cabinet is filling up quickly. So I'm not really sure what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I used to have cabinet space. Then my wife became a mug collector. No, not anymore. Not anymore.
Yeah.
WT, you've been very kind about those videos, giving me encouragement. I appreciate those. They're not like super hard work to do, but they are more time consuming, which is why, and I'm at the end here, I'm going to give you the schedule for the upcoming live streams and stuff. We're going to do something a little bit different, because what we did was we did the show about Tyler Scott, and because that was the big one on Saturday, and then the transfers happened, and like literally couldn't catch him. We got one that afternoon, and then this morning, and then like at lunchtime, the other transfer came, and then right, that CJ Johnson came in. So we went ahead and did CJ Johnson because he's a true commit. What we're probably going to do is do a combined short live stream in the morning. I'll talk about that in a second for the transfers, just to kind of get them out of the way, because I'll fall behind in scheduling. So I hate doing it. I like doing individual things, but I'm trying to make wise decision for Kyle's time and creating content and stuff like that. What else? Let's see if there's anything else that was brought up during the show. Talking about our home court advantage being huge. Yes. If you've ever been to a game with, like, I'm going to tell you what, Austin, that Kentucky game, I think my ears are still ringing from it. And I got in.
Year?
Yep, I got in there on a whim. I literally only came down to cover Pearlville. I got up in the morning with the students to watch their antics still, and document them and stuff and do all that kind of thing.
That was almost a year ago.
I know. I was hoping.
That was my birthday. That's crazy.
Really? Was it your birthday?
The game was, but the week leading up to is what I remember more. But that was like, I can't believe that was that long ago.
Yeah. Feels a long time ago. But I just remember getting in that game because out of the generosity of their hearts, a listener of the show offered their extra ticket up to me, and I was like, "You can't be serious, right? You're letting me come into the game with you?" He's like, "Yeah." Like I ended up buying them lunch or something like that. But like, I was like, "This is a drop in the bucket compared to the price of this ticket."
Yeah, and they were going nuts.
Man, it was awesome. It was so awesome. Let's see here. Leanne went to the women's game. Yeah, look.
Ooh.
What?
The women's game. I didn't get to see much of it until I saw the final score, and I was like, oh man.
I don't know. I'm so hopeful for the future with Coach Johnny Harris, but it just feels like we are so far behind in the women's game that it's going to take still some time, because we did some great things in non-conference. We beat Tennessee last year, who's very difficult to beat. So there's been some things, and I think some things like that'll happen this season, but they've had some sicknesses, some injuries. I think Coach Johnny Harris has actually been out sick a couple times too, with everything that's been going around on college campuses and stuff like that. But yeah, it's they're struggling to find their footing. I would hope they'd get that Iron Bowl win today, but they did not.
Yeah, and that's just been a game that for the last few years feels like they've just they've had our number, and while we've been rebuilding and haven't quite put it all together for that one yet. But I still really like the direction that Coach Johnny Harris has the team going. I really like the energy around it. Like it feels like it's just going to be a little bit slower build than kind of other things. And I think that's more just the nature of that sport. There's a lot of distance between the elites of the elite and the mids, like
Parity.
a lot. Yes, like tons of distance.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, whack of parity. And so I think it just takes longer. And thankfully, I don't mean this any way against women's basketball at Auburn, but thankfully, I think there's going to be enough patience for that to kind of get going. And so we'll see. We'll see how they keep going. I think as long as you show progress,
right,
you're going to be okay.
So here's the crazy thing, and I talked about this with Andy Burcham when I interviewed him about 2 years ago for his Auburn Roots episode. It's like, I remember I was there for the time when people looked forward more to women's basketball games than men's basketball. I watched the curtains being drawn up on the extra seats for the Auburn-Tennessee matchup against, help me, what was her name?
Coach Summit.
Coach Summit. Goodness, Kyle, you should know better. You know better than that. Coach Summit. And I remember just going like, wow, we have reached a whole new level of women's basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is incredible. I'm talking about Allie Smalley. God, and I'm blanking on everybody else's name.
All the coach,
DeWanna Bonner.
Yes.
Montgomery, was Montgomery one of them? Anyway, just, it was an incredible time. So hopefully we can get back to some semblance of that again. And Joe Champy was, a great time too. But that was Nell Fortner then. So Auburn has had some great history. Ruthie Bolton, Vicky Orr. It's high time we got back on a regular basis back to that. And can you imagine how awesome it would be? Like, I've always dreamed, Austin, of there being a coordinated effort where
here we go again.
You've heard me do this before.
Yeah.
Where you make an actual weekend out of basketball weekend and actually have people come tailgate. Think how much the city of Auburn would love that. Like,
absolutely.
You schedule South Carolina, men's and women's, on here on the same day, and you spread them out by like 3 hours or something like that. And there's tailgating and stuff like that. You get in the women's game, you get in the men's game, or however you want to do it. I don't know. But and then the Friday night, you have a gymnastics meet. Listen, it'd be awesome. It'd be so awesome if they could pull that off.
It would. And I think when we've talked about the advantages Neville Arena provides, it would be awesome for a women's game, and something that's not quite as seen. Like South Carolina's arena is bigger. I think to have Neville Arena for a women's game packed out with a raucous crowd would be something that's kind of not as heard of. So I hope it gets back to that point soon.
Yep. All right. We're going to do last minute comments and questions here, but let me give you the rundown that we do at every end of the show. If you haven't, smash the like button. It does help us out. Things to keep in mind, schedule stuff first coming up. Now, I am trying to do these more often in the mornings, about 8:30 Eastern time. Just some live stream short topics. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about those 3 transfers, one from Maryland, LSU, and Purdue that all came in, and we'll do it like our traditional what it means shows, just all packed into one. So it'll probably go a little bit longer. I try to do about 15 to 20 minutes. I would imagine it'd go a little bit longer than 20 minutes, but I'll give you the information and get your feedback. So don't miss that or the replay tomorrow, but hopefully you can join us 8:30 in the morning to something we're trying out right now. Also, the main live stream that you want to be looking for next, Auburn versus Ole Miss, the basketball game, post-game live stream. You got a lot of choices for who to watch for your post-game reaction. We hope you'll choose us, or at the very least, come back and check us out later. Would love to have you there watching and chatting with us live. Make sure you're subscribed so you can be part of that subscriber giveaway, channel memberships, booster club memberships, all other things listed in the description are ways that you can help support our content here at E2C Network. But you can just do that by liking this and being here and being part of our little family within the Auburn family. Final thoughts, Austin. Anything you want to share before we get out of here?
I don't think so. We are. Who do we play next? Auburn basketball. Are we at home?
Ole Miss on the road, Mississippi State at home. If I have that,
Okay.
yeah,
Well,
correct.
go to Ole Miss. There's another person that's had our number for a while. So
We
8
always,
o'clock. Good grief.
yeah.
But yeah,
8 o'clock for you, 9 o'clock for me. So keep that in mind.
yeah,
Like
ridiculous.
it's going to be a late one for me. Thomas says if Robbie is quarterback QB1, he will be quarterback one with competition. Iron sharpens iron. Absolutely, and he understands that. He had to do that this year, so he obviously can understand the reverse of that. I don't think Robbie should anyway be threatened by another quarterback coming in because he's shown he's got some good stuff. And all he's got to do is go out there and prove himself. If he did it this season, he could do it again.
And we should want that as Auburn
Absolutely.
fans, because that if Robbie, if it doesn't matter who they bring in, if Coach Freeze and the rest of the offensive staff still name Robbie the starter after all that, well, that means he was the best, and he gives Auburn the best chance to win. So that's good with me.
Early projections have us going to the NCAAs as a 6th seed. Any thoughts if we end up higher or lower? I could see us as a 4th seed or a 7th seed. Me, just because of the volatility of the team right now, I'm not comfortable putting any higher than a 6. To me, this is probably just out there. I have no reason to think about it, but I'm just going to predict an 8 seed right now. Just feeling it out. If we show continued progression offensively, it definitely could be a 6. It could be higher. What do you think, Austin?
Yeah, I was gonna say lowest as an 8 probably. I mean, they could still, bomb and not even make it. I think they were on the last 4 buys last
Don't
I
wish
looked,
that
but
evil on us.
I'm not wishing anything. I'm just preparing everybody for any kind of reality. It's early, so that's good though, because Auburn needs to work on a lot of things. So I'd rather them have a lot of things to work on now than a lot of things to work on come March 1st.
This is my reaction when you say we're not going to make the tournament. That's what I told you I was gonna...
do I need to be prepared for all these random little plugins?
We'll see. We'll see if we get in trouble on YouTube for them or not. But
Yeah,
I figured I'd give it a whirl. It's like, what the heck? It's new year, new show, new Kyle. Right. All right, we're getting out of here. We're sitting at right about an hour. Appreciate you guys watching live. Those of you that watched on the replay, hope to see you this week on any live stream, any video, on social media, on the podcast, however you find our content. We appreciate you being here, hanging out with us. For myself and Austin, we'll talk to you very soon. And War Eagle, my friends. As I mess my thing up here, this is awkward. War Eagle.